Hi, my name's Corey Maydell, and I'm from the Joda Performance Group. You know, I suffered a concussion about 3.5 months ago, and I've been thinking about putting a video together to share my story so that we as employers could continue the conversation. And then I realized that today is that Let's Talk. So I looked up and I said, you know, is a concussion a mental illness? And the answer was it could lead into one. So I thought, well, what better day to put out this video than today? So let's talk, employers. You know, I think that when people experience things that people can't see or can't understand, it's really difficult to accommodate. It's difficult to understand what's needed. And as the CEO of the Joda Performance Group, an HR consulting firm, you know, you'd think we'd have that figured out. And the truth is, we did. I had the ability to rest when I needed, take time off when I needed, because I had a really powerful team supporting me. I appreciate that accommodating is more difficult when you're a smaller organization, but I think we need to talk about it. We need to think about new ways to do it better. So let me tell you about my story. Let me tell you what I experienced so that you maybe have a better insight into what at least I went through. I'm no expert on concussions. That's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to share my experience because what I realized was the more that I shared my experiences, the more people shared theirs with me. And I was startled to see how many people out there were experiencing concussion-like symptoms like I was. So in October, on October 5th, I had a 25-pound piece of wood, I guess, fall on my head. I'd like to say I was heli skiing somewhere in the Alps, but I was not. I was simply being careless. And this piece of wood hit me in the head, knocked me forward, caused my neck to snap, and back it went. I was in shock for a few minutes and sat there for an hour and a half waiting for my husband to get home. And he said, "Are you okay?" And I, being in shock, wasn't sure. But, you know, I seemed okay. So I spent the next couple of weeks discounting things that I was noticing. Gee, my neck was sore. Oh, I'm just not quite feeling myself. But I kept discounting it because I thought, oh, it must be something else. Until one day I was preparing to put together a 1.5-day workshop for a leadership team I was working with. And I had all the papers laid out. And I was trying to put this workshop together, and I couldn't piece it together. I couldn't write the program. So I called my doctor and immediately went in, and she said, "You know what, you've got a concussion." So I called the employer and asked if they would mind delaying, and they were so gracious and kind and absolutely said no problem. You know what was interesting though is they said, "But you seemed fine yesterday." And that's the thing that's so hard, is I did kind of feel okay yesterday, but then I didn't feel okay the next day. And I can feel okay right this minute, and in 5 minutes I might have symptoms that debilitate me instantly. You know, it was tough. Once I got diagnosed, I took about 10 days off, and the symptoms were extreme nausea to the point where they would come up to my throat and I would feel like I was going to throw up. Thankfully, I never did. But once they came in, I was dizzy and got dizzy and nauseous and made me tired all the time. And I was finding that I wasn't getting better, and so I instilled the expertise of Copeman Healthcare, and I went in and I talked to a brain physiologist, and she talked to me and said, "You know what, I think you have whiplash as well." And then I went to a physiotherapist at Copeman, and they said, "Yeah, you have both." So they put me through this myriad of testing, and I share that with you because I think I had spent quite a bit of time in heavy symptoms without really a treatment plan that was going to work for me. And it was things like, gosh, I asked my husband to go for a walk, and we went, and we were walking, and we walked onto Robson Street. And in the instant we got to Robson Street, I thought I was going to implode or explode. I'm not even sure which. The sensation and the stimulation was so great that I was sure I was going to throw up. I got dizzy. I got nauseous. Oh, thinking about it makes me feel that way. And those kinds of symptoms happened for a while, for a long while. Well, it's been 3.5 months, almost 4. I've canceled more meetings than you can shake a stick at. I've asked for more help than I think I've ever in my lifetime. I am extremely humbled by the experience, and at the same time grateful. Because I think life was trying to tell me it's time to slow down. It's time to figure out a way to do things a little bit better. And I can't tell you how hard it is when you're sitting with a group of people and you seem completely fine, and the next thing you know, you're not. The next thing, I've left parties in the middle of them because the music got too loud. And, everyone I've talked to have said the same thing. They've had different symptoms, but it's the debilitating part of the symptoms that is so hard. One of the things that I never had a problem with, though, is I was never afraid to say I have a concussion. Because I was in the middle of a workshop once, and I had asked them this question I had asked a million times. And I asked how many legislations, statutes, all of that govern employment. I couldn't tell you the answer. I didn't know. And so I said, you know what, I have a concussion, and some of it's cognitive, and so I got no answer for you. And I can laugh about it now, but it was hard at the time because I'm a professional and I get paid to know things, and I didn't know the answer. And the hard part was that when I would ask myself, what's the answer? Nothing would come. Like, just nothing would come. So I share this with you because it was hard. Gosh, it's been hard. It's been hard to say I can't do this. It's been hard to say when I'm in the middle of a phone call with a client, my symptoms are so bad, I've actually had to hang up on someone and say, I got to go right now. But what was important is that I talked about it. I got support. And I was able to work and heal at the same time. See, the thing that's hard is, how do you do that as an employer? What we did is I let everybody on the team know that I had these symptoms. I never knew when they were going to come. So we set it up that I was fine until I wasn't fine. And then when I wasn't fine, I would just let everybody know I was off the grid. And I would go do whatever I needed to do, whether that was go for a nap. Usually that was what did it. 45 minutes and I was feeling better. Or I'd go for a walk. Or I'd simply get away from the computer and do something else. We had to travel to clients. My team would support me by driving instead of me. But we really worked on it together. And so I believe in larger organizations, sometimes it's easier to support or accommodate individuals who are struggling with something because you've got more support. But I don't know. I don't think it matters the size of the team. You just got to let the team know you need help. And I'm sure just like me, any team would be willing to support each other. And that's why it's important for us to talk about it. Because if we don't talk about it, we can't get rid of the stigma of something invisible that you can't see. And it doesn't matter what it is. It can be a mental illness. It can be a concussion that can lead to a mental illness. It could be a phobia. There's all kinds of things that it could be that people can't see. It could be simply that you're having trouble at home and you don't know what to do or who to talk to about it. But we've got to talk about it. It's the only way. Because if we talk about it, we can support one another. And as an HR consulting firm, we work with a lot of employers and we talk about how to support one another, how to support employees, how to accommodate. So I feel somewhat blessed to have had this experience because I have a firsthand understanding of how hard it can be and how hard it can be to be understood. Because the minute it happens, no one can see it's happening. And I can be fine and then I'm not. So let's talk. Let's continue the conversation, but in a meaningful way around how we can do things differently. We are so plugged in today. There's got to be ways to come up with accommodation. I talked to so many people who were off for 4 months, were off for a year and a half, were off for 2 years, are still struggling, but they were completely off work. I can tell you, being completely off work, well, I couldn't do that. Well, I guess if I had to, I could have. But it wouldn't help me get better faster. Being at work helped me, but I did it in small steps until I got to the point where I could work full time. And I'm glad to say I'm feeling about 95% recovered. But I couldn't have done it without the support of my team. I couldn't have done it without the support of my family. And for all of the clients out there that know that I have a concussion, oh my gosh, the support has been overwhelming. So talk about it. Employees, talk to your employers. Employers, talk to your employees. Make it safe to say that something's going on that I need support on. And I know we can find a way. I know we can. Keep the conversation going.